believe David Reich-Hale is on the phone with us. Hello, David.
Hey. Good afternoon.
Hey,
Friday afternoon.
How you doing?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's 81 degrees. You're right. That's what the dashboard says too. It's perfect.
Yeah. I hope I hope you got a nice chocolate malt there or something cooling off.
Maybe later. Right now, just driving safe and battling through going east on Long Island, which is always a challenge on a Friday in the summer. But
okay.
hey,
We can always identify with that. Hey, it could be worse.
Yeah.
You could be behind an army of school buses.
This is true. We'll
Right.
wait till like 3:15 on Comac Road on a Thursday in January. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, boy, we can all identify with that. So I see your story. Northwell Health has placed armed guards in 2 hospitals. Well, what's going on there?
Well, look, it's been happening for a while now where we've had shootings at various workplaces. We had one at a newspaper in Maryland about a year ago. We had one take place at Bronx Lebanon Hospital, and that was, of course, a disgruntled employee, right?
Right.
It was a disgruntled former doctor that killed one person and wounded 6 other people. So there's been a lot of threats, and when they talk to their employees, there's a serious concern about this, and the employees have asked about it. So that's how they got to this point where they decided that it was a good idea to use armed guards. Now, they're not using only armed guards, but some of the guards are armed.
Okay. Do we know where they're getting those armed guards?
Well, they're usually, and this is not an absolute. There's no absolutism here, right? But
Right.
one of the ways that a lot of these, not only hospitals, but sometimes school districts, sometimes workplaces, sometimes just about anywhere, they'll hire former NYPD
Okay.
and former police officers, or in general, because they have the license to carry. And in New York State, that's not an easy license to get.
Right.
And so they have that license, so they're able to carry, and they know how. And the other thing is, New York Police Department cops, along with other police officers, are trained to sort of de-escalate a situation, right? So it's sort of a good combination for a workplace to have somebody who can have the weapon if needed, but can also generally talk people down to avoid any kind of serious issue.
Yeah. This is, well, I mean, all in all, it's pretty much an experiment, right?
Well, I think we're past the stage of experimentation. I mean, with Northwell, which is the largest private employer in the state, they have 23 hospitals. That's a huge number of hospitals. They're constantly growing and expanding, and they're going to put them in all their hospitals in time. I think Southside out in Bayshore is next. Right now, they have them in the 2 hospitals. There are 2 hospitals in Nassau, or 2 of the hospitals in Nassau. North Shore and LIJ, and they'll be all over. And other health systems are considering it, and nationwide, other health systems have done this. And so I think we're past the stage of just experimentation. I think there's a lot of workplaces that have this also.
Right. So the armed guards then come under the auspices of the hospital.
Yeah, well, yeah, or they are part of the organization that handles security for the hospital, right? So they may have North Shore signs on them and tags on them in some way, but they work for a third party that the hospital system, the health system, or an employer would bring in to handle the security. Right. There's a security company that I talked to in this story called Squad Security. They're based in Uniondale, but they also have offices in Los Angeles, and they're all around the country. And actually, they're international. Okay. They have 500 employees, and the guy who runs it there is a retired New York Police Department detective, and he says that he's hiring guards with law enforcement backgrounds, and that he's placing them in the offices of his customers. So if someone uses Squad Security, they'll have armed guards protecting them.
Right. Was it ever thought of to to, like, let's just say in New York, the hospitals on Long Island? Was it ever an idea to let the police department do that?
I don't know how that would work on Long Island. I'm certainly not sure how it worked in New York City. But then if you had police department, you actually had the cops that were protecting the community now stationed at the hospital, and I'm sure that they do their patrols through the hospital area, right? But right. I don't know how it would work if a private hospital was using public funds to protect itself. I mean, I'm sort of talking out of turn on this, right? But
I can see how it would get. It would get complicated. I get that. Right.
Yeah. And then you would have a situation where the hospital may not be able to control how the security is handled in some ways because it's part of the police department. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of possibilities. Now, I think in some places they have piloted that sort of thing and played with it, but I don't know enough about how it's worked.
Right. Because I'm just looking at, how many people are going to be in charge of security. It's like we're going to have layer and layer and layer and, I don't know. I really don't know. And the reason I said that I thought that maybe this is an experiment is because we really don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, this is their answer to the situation, but we don't know how effective their answer is going to be.
No, and I don't know how you decide what the success rate is. Is it that somebody came in with a weapon and they stopped that person with a weapon, with their weapon? Is it the fact that by publicizing, and make no mistake about this, if Northwell didn't want anybody to know this, probably nobody would know this.
Right.
And it's sort of like the old Reagan era peace through strength idea, right? Which is if somebody has a knife or wants to go in and cause a little trouble for a hospital, Northwell hospitals may not get that visit because you know that they have the armed guards there.
Right.
It's the same argument that some people make about school systems, right? If you had a school district where they have armed guards, you may think twice before you go into a school to try to start any trouble. And obviously that opens up another can of worms, and we're very deep into a political debate.
Yeah.
But that's another way that you can measure whether or not what Northwell does is successful.
Right.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it is a hard one.
I mean, that's why I think it's kind of an experiment, because when God forbid, and let's hope they never need to be used, but if we come up upon an instance where something like that does happen, that's going to be the litmus test for whether or not this was the answer or this wasn't the answer. Certainly in the conversation around that first incident,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I wonder whether or not we'll ever know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we may never know.
Right. I mean,
they may tell you.
Yeah, I think
unless there's a police report. Right? There's a police report. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But certainly the second part of that, where people just don't even go there to cause trouble because they know that there are armed guards at those hospitals. That's I don't know how you.
Yeah. Well, how do you quantify that?
How do you quantify that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's certainly a deterrent, I think.
Oh well, I think so too. I kind of like the idea where you may have 50 guards, but you don't know which ones are armed.
Right.
So
exactly.
if you really have designs on doing something nasty at a hospital, you have to assume all 50 are armed.
Yep. And now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the other side of that is that does that then make your your guy who's determined to do something, does that make him come with more force to make sure he can take out 50 guards?
I mean, if somebody's showing up to take out 50 guards, what are they doing? I'm no expert on how you even do this.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm proud of not being an expert on how you would do this.
I hear
but that would be pretty difficult. One of the health systems that I don't mention in the story because they just didn't want to participate, but they did say to me that they have a guard or two that quote unquote may be armed, but again, they didn't want to say who they were.
Right.
But then others are not, and they would never really want to tell me what the ratio was because that would be dumb to do, and I understand that.
Yeah.
It's a very sensitive topic around security, especially in this day and age where we're getting sadly way too used to.
I know.
this sort of behavior.
The first time that I saw New York City police armed in Penn Station with automatic weapons, my mind went back to a trip I took to Italy when I was a junior in high school. And the Carabinieri, they call them, the Carbonari military police. And when I was over in Italy, I kind of hung out with a lot of Navy guys over there. And I was driving one guy's car, and he told me, he said, "You see that guy over there with the lollipop stick?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, if he puts it up and wants you to stop, do it." I said, "Well, okay." And he goes, No, I mean, really do it." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because they'll shoot you."
Wow.
If you put up the lollipop stick and you don't stop, the next thing he does is grabs his gun and starts shooting. And I thought, wow. And now I never felt that way in America.
Yeah, I still don't feel that way.
But
that's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do. And the first time I saw it was at Penn Station too, and it was right after 9/11.
Right.
And then you notice them at the tunnels and on the bridges. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Much different time. Post 9/11, it's much different.
It really is. The other thing that I was going to bring up, because I don't want to pick on them, but I know that they're kind of an outlier in things like this. But Catholic Charities runs quite a few of the hospitals on Long Island. How do they feel about?
They are looking at it and considering it. Yeah, and I don't know where they're going to land on this.
Yeah,
but it's certainly interesting to see that they're looking into it. Their exact quote to me was they were actively investigating the regulatory and training implications of arming its security guards, which certainly sounds like they're at least considering it, if not more than considering it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that every health system and every workplace has to consider is that it does cost more.
Oh, sure.
They make anybody who is capable and properly able to carry usually makes anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour or more.
Oh, I think these guys are going to make a lot more than that if one of the job requirements is you have to have a carry permit in New York.
No, I mean $15 to $20 more per hour.
Oh, more per hour.
Yeah.
Yes, at least.
More per hour. Yep. Not $15 an hour. They make $15 to $20 more than the other security guards per hour.
Yep.
So they're considerably more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going out looking for employees that have one brown eye and one blue eye, you certainly cut that.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to pay for my brown and blue eye.
Yeah, it's not going to be cheap, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I really have ambivalent feelings about this, only because I don't know. I understand it's their answer to the issue, but I don't know that it's the answer. You know what I mean? And I don't think we will really ever know that.
We may not.
Yeah.
We may not. But I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. And unfortunately, I'm not positive that we're not going to see more attempts, at least, like what we saw happen at a Maryland newspaper a couple of weeks ago. So,
right. Yeah.
And we've seen them in hospitals also. So this issue's not going away. So we'll continue to track it as well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, David, I thank you for your time. It's always fun talking to you. We need a 2-hour show so we can go through some other issues.
Oh, that'd be fun. I always love coming on with you guys.
Yeah.
So anytime.
Very cool. Well, I thank you very much for this, and certainly if anything pops up, give us a call. I want to.
You've got it. Enjoy the weekend.
You too. Have a good one, and thanks again.
You too. Bye.
Take care.